After how impressed I was with ChatGPT's ability to write my college papers, I began brainstorming different things to try it with. Nah. Oh, perfect. My goal was to have the AI do as much of the level design as possible, so I gave it this first prompt. It just spat out a very generic description of how Mario levels are designed, just basically saying you need a layout, challenges, power-ups, but not really providing enough specifics to build my level with. So I tried asking it to describe the first challenge the player would come across. This was a good start, but it quickly fell back into its generic Mario level related rambling. So this time, I asked it to list the first 5 challenges to see what it would do. And, well, it did just that. Knowing I was on the right path, I asked for 5 more challenges, and then 10 more in the SubWorld. I kept asking it some more stuff, making sure I had everything I needed to start building its level. As I play through the level, you'll hear the exact prompts I gave to it, as well as its exact responses. Think of it as one of those game developer commentary videos, except the game developer is Siri on crack. Oh, and last thing, as I was making the level, I thought of some great prompts to make the AI have even more impact on the level design. So if you enjoyed watching this, like the video and leave any suggestions you'd like to see it tackle in AI level version 2 in the comments. With that out of the way, let's play the level.
Here we go! Let's go!
For the background scenery, the level could take place in a grassy field with a bright blue sky and a few clouds floating overhead.
Describe the first 5 challenges the player would come across in this level you just described.
1. The first challenge the player would come across in this level would be a series of platforms that they must jump across to reach the other side. The platforms would be placed at different heights, with some gaps between them, requiring the player to carefully time their jumps to avoid falling into the gaps. 2. An enemy, such as a Goomba, that the player must defeat. This could be done by jumping on the enemy's head or using a fireball if the player has already collected a fire flower power-up. 3. A hidden area that contains a power-up, such as a super mushroom or a fire flower. The player would need to find and collect a power-up in order to gain new abilities or increase their strength. 4. A series of enemies, such as Koopa Troopas, that the player must defeat in order to progress. This could involve using the player's jumping or fireball throwing abilities to defeat the enemies, or finding other creative ways to overcome them. 5. A moving platform that the player must ride to reach the other side of a gap. This would require the player to carefully time their jumps to avoid falling off the platform as it moves.
Add 5 more challenges, then explain where the player would enter the subworld.
6. A section of the level with low visibility, where the player must navigate through a foggy or dark area. This would require the player to use their senses and spatial awareness to avoid obstacles and enemies. 7. A series of conveyor belts that the player must ride to progress through the level. This would require the player to carefully time their jumps and movements to avoid falling off the conveyor belts or into gaps. 8. A series of obstacles, such as spikes or pits, that the player must avoid. This could involve using the player's jumping or fireball throwing abilities to destroy the obstacles, or finding other creative ways to overcome them. 9. A hidden area that contains a power-up, such as a Starman or a Cape Feather, that gives the player temporary invincibility or the ability to fly. The player would need to find and collect the power-up in order to gain new abilities or increase their strength. 10. A boss enemy, such as a piranha plant or a hammer bro, that the player must defeat to progress to the next section of the level. This would require the player to use their skills and abilities to defeat the boss and move on to the next part of the level.
Give a specific example of how a pipe could be hidden.
The hidden pipe could be located in a corner of the overworld, behind a brick block that is surrounded by other blocks. The player would need to carefully navigate to the corner of the overworld and use their jumping or fireball throwing abilities to break the brick block and uncover the hidden pipe. Once the player has broken the brick block, they would be able to enter the hidden pipe and access the subworld.
Add another 10 specific challenges that the player would face in the subworld.
Once the player enters the subworld, they would face a series of new challenges, such as 1. A series of underwater platforms that the player must swim across. This would require the player to use their swimming skills to navigate through the water and avoid obstacles and enemies. 2. A series of underwater enemies, such as cheeps and bloopers, that the player must defeat. This could involve using the player's jumping or fireball throwing abilities, or finding other creative ways to overcome the enemies. 3. A series of time challenges, where the player must complete a certain task within a certain time limit in order to progress. This could involve defeating a certain number of enemies, reaching a certain point in the level, or collecting a certain number of coins. 4. A hidden area that contains a power-up, such as a super leaf or a superstar, that gives the player new abilities or temporary invincibility. The player would need to find and collect the power-up in order to gain new abilities or increase their strength. 5. A section of the level where the player must navigate through a series of tight spaces, requiring precise movements and careful jumping to avoid obstacles and enemies. 6. A section of the level where the player must navigate through a series of moving platforms, requiring careful timing and quick reflexes to avoid falling off the platforms or into gaps. 7. A section of the level where the player must navigate through a series of falling or moving obstacles, requiring quick reactions and precise movements to avoid being hit. 8. A section of the level where the player must navigate through a series of traps, such as spikes or pits, requiring careful timing and precise movements to avoid being damaged or killed. 9. A hidden area that contains a power-up, such as a super mushroom or a P-wing, that gives the player extra lives or the ability to fly. The player would need to find and collect the power-up in order to gain new abilities or increase their strength. 10. A final challenge, such as a difficult platforming section or a final boss battle that the player must overcome in order to complete the level. This would be the most difficult challenge in the level, requiring the player to use all of their skills and abilities to overcome it and emerge victorious.
Well, that was pretty sick. Let's upload it. Taking into account the specific challenges you gave for the player, what would the name of this level be?
Based on the specific challenges that were described for the player in this level, a possible name for the level could be Underwater Adventure. This name reflects the SubWorld section of the level, where the player must navigate through underwater platforms and defeat underwater enemies, as well as the overall adventure-like nature of the level and its challenges.
Nice, I like it. What about a brief description of the level?
A brief description of the level could be something like, explore the depths of the Mushroom Kingdom in the Underwater Adventure level.
Navigate through underwater platforms and defeat aquatic enemies. Uncover hidden power-ups and face off against challenging bosses. Can you make it to the end of the level and emerge victorious?
Okay, hold on. That's too long. Can you make it shorter? 40 characters maximum?
Beat challenges and defeat aquatic enemies in Underwater Adventure.
Looks good. If I was to make a video about using your help to create this level, what would it be called?
If you were to make a video about using my help to create the Underwater Adventure level, a possible title for the video could be Creating an Underwater Adventure in Mario with Assistant.
This title effectively conveys the content of the video and lets viewers know that the video will show the process of creating an underwater adventure level in the Mario franchise with the help of the language.
Okay, chill out. I think it should be more along the lines of my previous video title. I used an AI chatbot to write my college essays. You know, you were in it.
A possible title for the video could be I used an AI chatbot to design a Mario level.
Great. What should I tell my viewers during the outro? I'd like to keep it short and to the point.
Thanks for watching. If you liked this video and want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay up to date on new videos.
Alright. Good enough, I fuck with it. Should I tell them to, as always, take care?
It is up to you whether or not you want to tell your viewers to take care in your outro statement. If you think that it is appropriate and fits with the tone and style of your video and channel, you can certainly include it in your outro. Saying take care of your viewers can be a friendly and caring way to conclude your video, and can help to foster a sense of community and connection with your audience. It can also provide a sense of closure and finality, letting viewers know that the video is coming to an end and thanking them for their time and attention. On the other hand, if you prefer a more straightforward and to the point outro statement, you can simply thank your viewers for watching and encourage them to subscribe and try out Assistant without mentioning take care. Ultimately, the choice is up to you and what you think will be most effective and appropriate for your